Welcome back to This Week Live. I am joined here in the studio by my This Week co-anchor, Martha Raddatz. Martha, thank you for being here.
Hello, John. Great to be with you.
Okay, so I've been dying to talk to you, and we haven't had a chance to really talk since these picks have come out. I want to start with Pete Hegseth. You know a little bit about the Pentagon over the years.
A bit.
And one of the really controversial things about Hegseth already is what he has said about women in combat. So I want to play you the full, with full context, what he has said about his position on women in combat. Take a listen.
As everybody knows, between bone density and lung capacity and muscle strength, men and women are just different. And so if you want to, I'm okay with the idea that you maintain the standards where they are for everybody. Mm-hmm. And if there's some, hard-charging female that meets that standard, great, cool, join the infantry battalion. But that is not what's happened. Yeah. What has happened is the standards have lowered because the general comes by and asks a question. You know what questions are when generals ask questions. They're just a command. Lieutenant or captain or major, why aren't there more women in your unit? That means get some more women in your unit now. And that moves all the way through the training pipeline. And so I'm surprised there hasn't been more blowback on that already in the book, because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles. It hasn't made us more effective, hasn't made us more lethal, has made fighting more complicated.
I mean, how is that going over?
Well, how would you like to be a woman in the infantry after passing, which are very high standards, and they all have to pass that standard? So I keep thinking about the women in the Pentagon, in the Army, who have gone through those courses and are serving honorably. I don't know what's made the Army more effective or more lethal, but those women have certainly done their part. And in fact, the attrition rate and other things is not as bad for females who are in those units. This is something, I covered women in combat from the very beginning, and women trying to get into those roles. It has everything to do with wanting to serve the country in that kind of role. Nobody's forcing these women into the infantry. It's also promotion. I mean, if you look at it, John, and you know this well too, there's not been a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who was female, because it's sort of catching up with that, because they didn't have either combat experience or these other things that would put them in that rank, and eventually, certainly they hope to achieve that kind of rank unmerited.
And this is an interview that was this was like a week old. This is not something he said a long time ago.
This is not an old interview. And so that is something that's very relevant. Whether that will matter in the confirmation hearing, we'll have to see. But I've heard all kinds of rumbling, and not just from women, by the way. Yeah. It's, I've asked over the years the standard question, what do you think about having your commander as a female? And they're like, look, we just don't think about it. She's a soldier. She's the Air Force. Or if she does her job, that's all they care about. I am reading Hegseth's book, and it's very much about how men have prevailed and how men have fought wars. There's an enormous contribution by women in the air, on the ground, overseas, everywhere.
Absolutely, including a woman winning the Silver Star just this week.
Exactly.
So, but let me, more broadly, he's somebody who has been, for the last 8 years, an anchor on cable television on the weekend. Now, he is 20-year, a
Look,
veteran.
he served honorably.
Yes.
He served in combat. He has the Bronze Star. That is great for him. He was a company commander, I believe. That's 50, 150, 100, about 130 to 150 in a company. Now he's going to, if he gets this nomination, 2.5 million. I mean, that's how many people you lead. You wrote about in your book about Chris Miller, who was, I think, a battalion commander or a brigade commander. Lots more people, not that many more, and now it's a company commander. He has very strong opinions about the military. This would be a big change. I mean, he's also criticized very vocally some of the generals who are already there. He's criticized diversity within the ranks. And, you have the chairman of the Joint Chiefs right now, C.Q. Brown, who is an African American and who, after the George Floyd murder, gave a very emotional put out a
Yeah.
tape to the troops talking about his own experiences with, as he said, racial injustice and what it had been like for an African-American general. Are they going to look at him and say, this is a guy who's woke, he's out of here?
Okay, and let me, we can talk about this for a
Yes,
long
we could.
time, but let me know, you were just out in California, you were talking to farm workers in California about these plans for mass deportations. What did you
You know,
hear?
this is huge. Like, clearly, immigration is a big issue, and clearly there was a crisis at the border, and it's something they really do have to solve. But when you talk to farmers who are out there, and I talked to a farmer named Joe Del Bosque, and he owns a medium-sized farm. They have melons, and he has a whole crew. He said he never asks them whether they're documented or not. But we spoke to one of those undocumented workers, and he said he's been in the country for 40 years, and he's raised his family there, and that provides him income. The farmer said he could not do it without undocumented workers, which, of course, I said, look, are you taking American jobs? He said, no, I cannot find anybody but these workers to pick these melons, and he felt like he might even miss crops, that it would really affect what he could sell, what Americans may get. He was very worried about it. Look, he's one of the brave people who will talk about it,
right?
And seem to have no problem saying, you know, a lot of these guys are undocumented. But he said, look, they've been terrific workers, and I don't know how we'll do it without them. So that's something we looked at this week.
And you sense the fear of that this deportations are going to happen.
And the undocumented workers are like, I don't know what I'll do. I mean, finding people who would talk to us, very difficult because they're very afraid.
Yeah.
There will be a raid, and they will be sent back to wherever they came from.
But you did, and we're going to see this on This Week on Sunday. You will be able to see Martha's report on the potential impact of Trump's immigration plans Sunday morning on This Week.